Welcome back. I'm Mike McConnell, and we're here for part 2 of the Gray Wolf Symposium and the delisting from the Endangered Species Act. We ask ourselves a couple of relevant questions, one being, what attributes are required for the individual states to implement and manage the gray wolf properly? First and foremost, must institute a committee to incorporate scientific, economic, and political interests. And with this in mind, the attributes relative to the subject actually fall into a hierarchy of varying viewpoints and considerations. One being taking into consideration that states presently implementing the plans enforced by wildlife, fish, and management are not supported by historical and scientific data. And as a result, the packs within the northern Rocky region and their associated genetic pools are directly affected. This in return causes a decline in the health of the wolf pack and adjoining wolf packs. The number 2 consideration is that an appointed representative from each one of the groups or interests of groups should engage in a roundtable committee whereby all viewpoints should be considered. The federal government then in return needs to endorse a watchdog mentality whereby they hire an independent agency to hear all viewpoints of all the groups invested in the interest, and each has a equal amount of consideration from what's being considered and what's being proposed, and then is equally implemented. Number 3, public education should be heightened. This in return will be twofold in effect, whereby the needs of the gray wolf population and its surrounding ecosystem are both equally share the result. Number 4, require a minimum number of wolves in an area, a given area or areas, to be derived from historical and scientific data, to include weather, human intervention, and culling. Accomplishing these goals will require soothing of the anti-conservative groups and the needless slaughter of adult wolves and their young. So we say to ourselves, the course which we are presently traveling, we need to ask the question, a relevant question, by asking, what shall a man gain, or what shall a man profit if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? For man, in all his own wisdom, shall always put his own needs before the needs of all others. These actions are clearly evident in determining factors deriving the delisting of the gray wolf from the Endangered Species Act. Factors which are propagated by individuals and personal agendas involving cattlemen, big game hunters, and even the likes of lobbyists and their prospective affiliations. I, as a steward of my own and surrounding environment, shall continue to maintain an agenda to protect all and endeared creatures of the earth. What shall you do? Protecting and preserving the wolf population is simply really Wouldn't you think? Here are the required actions I propose. 1. Establish buffer zones near and adjacent to Yellowstone National Park. 2. Compensate ranchers for confirmed wolf predation. 3. Prohibit trapping and hunting of all wolves in all states. 4. Maintain a federal oversight committee whereby routine audits and adjustments can be made to state mandated plans lacking in the minimal requirements. And lastly, but certainly not least, increase public education. Now the choice is yours. What shall we do together? Good night, and thank you.